These racist Indians, them and Latinos are the very same way. They view black people the same way. They all tell their family and their friends not to associate with black people, not to date black people. They all dislike dark skin and kinky hair. The way how they think is exactly the same. They just speak a different language, but they're basically the same people, Latinos, Indians, and Arabs. But they all view black people the same. But the thing with the Indians is that they complain about white people being racist to them. They complain about other groups being racist to them, and they cannot complain because they are racist to black people.
I find it really hypocritical how Indians and South Asians will talk about prejudice they experience by white people and then turn around and take that same discriminatory energy and use it against black people. I know it happens. I grew up hearing it. So let's talk about how you are so eager to fit in that you would rather appease those who oppress you than support other oppressed groups. You know what that smells like? Desperation for acceptance. And the sad part is, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you work to blend in, you will still be seen as an other.
I want to say, my brother, you're absolutely right, okay? I actually grew up in London, born and bred. I come from the British Bangladeshi community, pockets of which are so disgusting racist. I think part of the problem is because of colonialism in the South Indian subcontinent. What we now know as Pakistan, Bangladesh and India. When I go to Bangladesh, the constant sniping, the obsession with looking for light-skinned girls. In fact, even when I was growing up, and I've just done a video on my timeline about this, all they're obsessed about is your dark skin and whether or not, if you have babies, you'll pass on that gene to your children. So it's deeply racist. South Asian communities do need to talk about it, and it might explain why we don't see many of our girls or even boys going out with black folks. Yeah, it's wrong, it's disgusting, and it needs to be stamped out. But I will now want to talk about racism towards black Muslims.
Hey babes, I'm about to say something and it may offend some, but so be it, you know. So I was receiving some comments, racist comments of course, of people saying, look, explain why your people are so stinky, explain why Indians have the worst BO, your people are so unhygienic, explain. And my response to that is some of you will literally walk around your homes, your living spaces, with your outdoor shoes on all day. Some of you will wipe your doo-doo ass with just toilet paper and call it a day and claim that you're clean. Some of you will make out with your dogs. Some of you do not wash your legs or the bottom of your feet. Some of you think that being in the pool in the summertime counts as a bath, which no, it does not. And you want to come talk to me about hygiene? The jokes write themselves.
Excuse me, मैं क्यों shut up? तुम shut up, तेरी माँ shut up, तेरा प्यो shut up, तेरा सारा खानदान shut up. Shut up.
It is more difficult for a South African born black person to call me black in America than what it is for an American born black person to call me black. Because technically in South Africa I'm colored, but in America they refer to colored people as black people. But South African born black people find it harder to refer to colored people in America as black. It makes sense. It makes sense if you're South African. It makes total sense. But if you're not, you won't understand. But yeah, let that sink in. Because we're all going around about like, oh, Black History Month. And I'm like, yeah, Black History Month, whoop whoop. And they just gave me a look like side eye. And I'm like,
when I said anti-blackness was rife within the South Asian communities, that was an objective truth. It's not a debate. If anything, the comments under my last post prove that. I'm really confused as to what people are not understanding about my last video. So this is a direct question to the South Asian Desi viewers of my last video. Do you deny that anti-blackness exists within our cultures? Do you deny that it's a huge problem within our community? I'm really confused as to how every single person missed the point. So let's go back to basics and address the whole it wasn't about race, stop bringing race into it. Our actions and reactions don't exist in a vacuum. Context always matters. And for that matter, racism doesn't always have to be overt and explicit. It can be subconscious. You don't always need someone to directly use a slur at you to know that they were being racist. In my video, I was highlighting the reactions that I've seen from the South Asian community and how I personally view it as evidence of their prejudice and anti-blackness. The lack of empathy for black women, the dehumanization of black women in our cultures and society, present systemically within our country, in our institutions, is not simply going to go away because someone wasn't overt with their racism, or because you as an individual thought that race doesn't matter in this particular case, or because you feel like people are bringing race into it. People harbor these prejudices, this bigotry, this anti-blackness, and it guides their way of life. It guides their actions and their reactions. So whether or not someone holds their hand up and explicitly refers to race, it doesn't mean that the racial context doesn't matter. It doesn't mean the actions or reactions weren't racialized in nature. This was a very specific case of misogynoir, and I would encourage people to look into what that actually means. That intersectionality is really important to understanding why people are so upset at what has gone on. And finally, just stop denying the experiences of black people. You've seen huge parts of the community react to this in a very negative way, and instead of denying their experiences, I think it's just important to hear them out and listen to what they have to say.
So that makes it okay, and people who know better should inflict the same cycles of behaviour. What? I've literally seen black people be racist to Indians too. But that don't mean I'm going to sit here and say it's okay when Indians are racist back to black people. And I'm not denying that some people can be racist in every culture. But I'm not talking about ignorant people here. I'm talking about those of us who know better. I'm talking about the same people who want to scream racism but continue to remain ignorant. In the context of what I'm speaking about, and to the level of this racism, no argument can justify it. These are innocent people making food and just doing their bit in their country, trying to earn a living. And people in the comments are using it as an excuse to be racist. And this comment just backs all of that up. I think it's sad that black and brown people experience so much racism and then decide to point fingers at each other. But I'm not here to get into that. My point was that every single one of those videos have millions of views and hundreds and thousands of comments, of which most of them are racist towards Indian people. And no matter what anyone says, that racism cannot be justified.
I don't like Indian people. They stink of curry. I hope you're not Indian. Yes, we smell of the same curry that makes your butter chicken, chicken tikka masala, your tandoori chicken, and even the spices in your chai tea latte. It's funny how my culture's scent bothers you, but the flavors don't. And I understand if our spices are too much for you. Then just enjoy your spices, salt, pepper, ketchup, and mayo. I mean, if it really smells so bad, why don't you stick to your bland food?
Excuse me, मैं क्यों shut up? तुम shut up, तेरी माँ shut up, तेरा प्यो shut up, तेरा सारा खानदान shut up. Shut up.